In this video, we will continue our discussion of Class 8 NCERT book, Chapter 8, Force and Pressure. This video is part 2 of the series. Please watch the other videos as well. Link is shared in the description box. So let us now continue our discussion on force. The next question that can come to our mind is, how do you move an object, or how do you impart motion to an object? We can do it by applying force. So can we say such a statement that we have to push or pull to make an object move? Yes, it is true. It is also the very definition of force as discussed earlier. The action of push or pull is defined as force. The next question you can ask is, when does force comes into play? It is the interaction of one object with the other that results in a force between two objects. That being said, at least two objects must interact for a force to come into play. Now, what kind of interaction is referred here? Two objects interact with each other through contact or non-contact manner, which we will study in upcoming videos in this chapter. To understand this concept better, we will now discuss a series of examples, and for each situation, we will try answering the following questions. Do any two objects interact? What kind of interaction is happening? Is there a pushing action involved? Is there a pulling action involved? Is there a change in speed of motion? Is there a change in the direction of motion? Let us start with our examples and try answering these questions. The first example is a man standing behind the car at some distance. In this case, there is no interaction happening between man and the car. The man is just standing, so no force is generated. Thus, there is no pushing or pulling action involved. Neither there is any change in the speed or direction of motion of the car. Thus, there is no change in the state of motion of car. The second example is man pushing the car from behind. The man interacts with car by using the muscle force of his hand. The man performs pushing action on the car. Thus, a force is applied by pushing. The car will move in the direction of the force applied if we overcome the frictional force from the ground. Hence, the force may move the car from rest, hence changing the state of motion of the car. Our third example is magnet attracts a piece of iron. Magnet and iron piece interact under magnetic pull. Thus, a force comes into play as magnetic force or attraction by magnet. Attraction is a pulling action here. Thus, the piece of iron which was at rest with speed 0 now gains speed and moves towards the magnet. Hence, there is a change in the direction of and hence there is a change in the state of motion of the piece of iron. Coming to our next example, like poles of two magnets repelling each other. The two magnets interact by magnetic force. Since the two poles are like, so they repel each other, which is a push force. The two magnets at rest now moves in opposite direction. Hence, there is a change in the state of motion of the magnets. Two girls are fighting by pushing each other by hand. The two girls interact with each other through muscular force of hand by applying push force on each other. The two girls move away from each other, hence changing the state of motion. The two girls swirling together in a circle. The two girls interact with each other by pulling each other through muscular force of hand. They move around in circle in tangent direction. Hence, there is a change in speed and direction of motion of the girls, thus changing the state of motion. Dog and man pulling each other by leash. Dog and man interact with each other through leash by pulling each other through rope by muscular force of hand. They move in the same direction, hence changing the state of motion of the objects involved. Moving on, moving a table placed on a table. Book and hand interact with each other through the muscular force of hand. The force applied can be push or pull or lifting. Likewise, the direction of motion will be same opposite or upwards against gravity. Hence, there is a change in the state of motion of the book. Opening or shutting a door. Hand and door interacts through muscular force by pushing or pulling. The door moves in clockwise or anti-clockwise direction from rest, thus changing the direction and speed, hence changing the state of motion of the door. Drawing a bucket from well. Hand and rope interact by muscular force through pulling the rope or lowering or pushing the rope. The bucket at rest at the bottom is now brought to the ground with some speed. Thus, there is a change in the state of motion of the bucket. A football player taking a penalty kick. The foot and ball interact with each other through muscular force by pushing or kicking the ball. The ball moves towards the goal with some speed from rest, thus changing the state of motion of the ball. A cricket ball hit by a batsman. Opening a door. It's a pulling force of hand by muscular force. Drawers move from rest outwards in the direction of the force, thus changing the state of motion of the object. A cricket ball hit by a batsman. The ball and the bat interact with each other through muscular force of hand by batsman and the bowler. The ball changes its speed and direction after hitting. The force applied is hitting or pushing the ball by bat. Thus, there is a state or change in the state of motion of the ball. Playing hockey, the ball and the stick interacts with each other through muscular force of hand of player. The ball changes speed and direction by flicking or pushing or hitting action, thus changing the state of the motion of the object involved. We will end our discussion here for now in this part 2. To continue, please click on the link for part 3 given in the description box. If this video was helpful, please like, share, subscribe and comment. Thank you for watching.